Support of the Empire Warehouse series on KVCR-TV comes from the Creative Corps Inland SoCal, a collaboration between the California Arts Council, the Inland Empire Community Foundation, Arts Connection, Riverside Arts Council, and the California Desert Arts Council, putting visual and media artists to work in the region. And viewers like you. Thank you.
Looking at these photos from the Inland Empire, I always forget that it was known as the Orange Empire. It just used to be a bunch of oranges, vineyards, and of course Route 66. And I think coming from a city like this, you can't help but be obsessed with the culture and history that exists here. And I know people can kind of be distraught about the state of the city, but when I look at photos like this, I'm reminded of how great it was, but also how great it can be. And that's kind of why I named my own company Come and See Media, because when you look deeper, you can really find the beauty and the resilience and the roses growing from the concrete. Back then in the IE, it used to be wake up and smell the oranges. It used to be just rows and rows of, oh wait, I forgot we're in the Warehouse Empire. I think for a lot of us, online shopping has become a normal part of our lives. Some of us more than others, but whether it's buying an outfit, ordering some vitamins you need, or getting some parts you needed for your car, we all online shop. Well, all this online shopping needs facilities, right? And I've been noticing a lot of stuff in the Inland Empire, and one thing that's starting to concern a lot of people that live in our communities is the logistics and warehouse industry. And well, the IE has an interesting relationship with it. If you live in the Inland Empire, you probably have been noticing it too, whether it's the trucks surrounding you when you're in the 10, or the Amazon warehouses being built around you, or the pollution getting worse. I think it's something that we all notice, and I'm no expert on the topic, but as a concerned citizen who lives in this community, I am going to talk to experts and community members that can help me learn more about what is going on in the IE. The first person that came to mind was an old friend that I met when we did a panel on media and community representation, and that is environmental and health journalist Anthony Victoria. I brought you to this place because you could kind of see like the valley. There was a fire, but
you see the layer of pollution.
Yeah.
Small layer, not as thick as some days, but
yeah, not the nice cloud. What have you seen are some patterns of why warehouses specifically choose the Inland Empire for establishing their buildings?
I think there's several reasons, but one of the main ones is cheap rent. So developers find that the land here is leased at very low rates compared to other regions. The other reason is that it's a strategic point of goods movement, and it always has been if you look at our history. You have places like Colton, which were founded by railroad companies and other Fortune 500 companies for that same reason. And so over time, we've seen that this is a place of movement. I personally think, and this is me speaking as a resident, I personally think you have to have the community at the negotiating table.
Yeah.
And I think right now, it's sort of the other way around. It's the developers sitting with the people in power. It's for regular people who work in these warehouses, for people that maybe live next to these freight corridors, are at the table with these developers. They're making clear demands about what they want to see. and that those demands are actually met and that there's some kind of middle ground. And I think for now, we haven't really seen that in this region, unfortunately.
It's kind of hard to collab with someone when you're not on the same table that they are.
Along with the economic disparities, along with the plight, there's people struggling to breathe. There's people who are dying of cancer. People like my mom, she died of cancer, unfortunately, right? So many other people that actually have organized in this movement, who have come before people like you and I, have passed away as a result of the impacts, right? It's like a slow violence. That's what I always like to tell people, right? It might not be inherently violent in the sense that somebody is stabbing you or somebody is killing you directly, but by them making these decisions, which are methodical, right? They create studies and stuff. They approve these projects. By the time 5-10 years pass by, you notice your lungs feel heavier, right? You begin to get sick. You begin to develop cardiovascular diseases. You begin to develop respiratory diseases. All that stuff has an impact. And slowly, what that's doing, it's depleting not only our lungs and our health, but it's depleting the natural environment around us. Yeah. And so, in a lot of ways, people are fighting for their lives. And I think the urgency needs to be felt a little bit more, I think, when it comes to these government agencies, when it comes to these elected officials. I think a lot of folks want to engage with these people. They want these folks to listen to them. They want to look at them and say, hey, help me, We're not here to antagonize you. But it has to be a two-way street. And I think in some cases, it's definitely not a two-way street.
That conversation with Anthony really helped me understand how big the warehousing industry is and how it's slowly been changing the landscape of many cities here in the IE. Not only that, but how it affects the people who live near them. One of the cities being hit the most by warehouse development is Bloomington. This city, a once rural town, is now slowly being surrounded by warehouses in cities next to them and also within them. So we are totally not surrounded by warehouses. On a more serious note, we are at the Rocha's old house, who we are going to be speaking to next. And I've seen photos of their house, but I had to check it out in person. And in person, it's kind of dystopian. Even from this view, it reminds me of the house from Up. It's kind of sad, honestly. Like, you buy a house with your significant other and has a nice view of the mountains and the landscape, and then when you're about to retire, you have a neighbor called Amazon, and they build huge slabs of concrete that just like completely blocks that view. So yeah, it's kind of unreal.
In 2014, we received a letter about the property behind us because we were wondering how come it's not being built. And the economy was rough, so people weren't building. And there was from the county talking about a developer was interested in purchasing that property.
Or first turning the land to commercial instead of residential.
Oh, so it was zoned residential?
Yes. 27 homes were supposed to go there, or 29.
But that's what the letter stated, that the developer was wanted to change this from residential to commercial, and double shot, and build like a 340,000 square foot warehouse.
We saw the developers coming in the area, right? Yeah, they were walking around our neighborhood, and my husband noticed them and goes, "Who are those guys?" And then we decided to have a little meeting at our house. And the developers came there and met, but they thought they were going to do it individual like that. Well, we had a group come to my house because we figured, 7-8 heads are better than 2. Yeah. So they met with us, and we told them we didn't want their project. There was nothing they could say. We didn't want their project.
They found out basically that I was called me the ringleader, that I was the one that developed the letter and passed it out. And then he proposed $55,000 offer if my wife and I would get on board and tell the community, be an advocate for the warehouse, and tell the community how great it would be for our
Trying to
community.
buy you guys out.
Exactly, exactly.
So, as we know, the warehouse ended up being developed. How did you guys first get that news? And how was life after that?
That morning, I think it was September the 25th, my father was in the hospital.
Yeah. So it was a vote, and his father passed that morning. So it was really devastating. So my husband thought it was so important, and his dad would want him to go. He just put his feelings aside, and we went to because they were voting on the warehouse that day, and we had put, like he said, 5 years into our life into that. And they voted, and they passed it. They passed it 4-1. You know, but we had standing room only. People couldn't even get in there. I mean, people had took off work, and they said like 300 people on the outside. They couldn't even get in. So that's how many people were, yeah. And then the whole room was packed.
You talk about broken-hearted people and
devastation.
Devastation. It was quiet, like we're like stunned that it passed, and all the hard work that we did.
We kind of let it absorb, you know, and you know we're prayers, you know, so we prayed a lot, we cried a lot, and we said, like, what are we going to do? You know, our quality of life is now going to be, it's just so different from what we thought our retirement years would be. So we said, what are we going to do, Tom? So actually, Tommy and I, we decided to move, you know.
I'll tell you this, the main thing I have to tell people, you need to speak up. You need to speak up. Like I use a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent on things that matter.
After speaking to Anthony and the Roaches, it really helped me understand how warehousing is affecting communities. But now I'm wondering, why are they coming to our communities? And how does that process look like when a warehouse wants to come to the Inland Empire?
Support of the Empire Warehouse series on KVCR TV comes from the Creative Corps Inland SoCal, a collaboration between the California Arts Council, the Inland Empire Community Foundation, Arts Connection, Riverside Arts Council, and the California Desert Arts Council, putting visual and media artists to work in the region. And viewers like you. Thank you.